Hello there, Tolkien Fanatics. Welcome back, and I have for you again the newest army review video that I have been working on, and it is one of my favorite armies that I enjoy playing and talking about. Not the strongest army in the world, and we'll talk about that here in a minute why, but also a very popular one too, and most likely potentially able to get even more popular with the release of the impending source book talking about the war in the north. We know it's coming. Curious to see if these guys get any love because their allies definitely will. So who am I talking about? I am talking about the Variags of Khand. So it's another small army, kind of like the Dale army I covered last time. There's only 5 profiles, but that's okay because they're still pretty cool profiles. So let's go ahead and jump right in. We have 2 hero and 3 warrior profiles. So I'll start with the warriors, because it'll help us talk about the heroes a little bit. So the first one is quite simple. It is the Kondish Warrior. He is Fight 4. That's awesome. So you're going to have a Fight 4 army right away with your basic troops. Strength 3, Defense 4, 1 attack, 1 courage 3. So basically the quintessential man profile with the fight value of 4, which is great. Armor, hand and a half axe, and a dagger. So hand and a half axe, that's pretty cool. That allows you to go two-handed there. And not only that, but you can go piercing strike. So you could combo piercing strike with two-handed weapon. Not bad at all. There are war gear options. You can swap out that hand and a half axe for free to take a bow. If you do that, you still have the dagger, which means you could feint. Not bad at all. The second one, the Kondish Horseman. Basically, this is the same profile. Just put him on a horse. And it's in his war gear even. Armor, hand and a half axe, bow. He's got a bow now. Dagger and horse. So if the Kondish Horseman is dismounted, they immediately drop either their bow or hand and a half axe as chosen by the controlling player. So that is big. You do have to remember that. So if you have a horseman, he gets dismounted, and you want him to have a bow, I would highly recommend having the dismounted model have the bow. And if you want him to have an axe, I would highly recommend that he have the axe. Okay? They're not taking any sort of defense, disadvantage here because they're not carrying a shield. But that's big. So that's 2 of the 5. Moving right along. All right, here we go. The third one. And this is the big one because this is the one that's going to affect the heroes. We're going to talk about the Kondish Chariots here. That's right. The Kondish Chariots here. These guys are pretty damn cool. So war gears, armor, hand and a half axe, dagger, and the Kondish Chariot. Pretty cool. Again, they can swap the hand and a half axe for a bow. So if you take the bow, you give up your hand and a half axe on the charioteer. So that is key to remember as well. So here's this profiles. Hold on, guys. Sorry. Had to sneeze there, so I turned my mic off real fast. Figured y'all don't want to hear me sneezing. So the profile for the rider is the same as the warrior. Fight 4, strength 3, defense 4, blah 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 blah. The chariot's profile is strength 3, 10-inch movement, no fight value because the fight value is taken by the rider. Defense 7, no attacks, 3 wounds, courage 3. Now, I don't know really why a chariot would need a courage value, but okay, it is courage 3. So, lots of special moves and different ways to play this. So let's go ahead and get into this. Defensive Bulwark. When an enemy model makes an in-the-way roll to see if they hit either the rider or the mount, they will hit the chariot on a 1 through 4 and the rider on a 5+. Additionally, when in combat, any model that wishes to strike the rider must roll a d6. On a 1 through 4, the model must strike the chariot. On a 5+, they may strike the rider. So basically, it's almost like a purpose fit. Actually, it is. It's not like it is a purpose built. There we go. Embarkment or defensive bulwark, and that's why it's called the defensive bulwark special rule. Now, it is an active rule, so I'm kind of curious about that. I don't think it can be passed into a passive to remove it. I do think this was FAQ'd into making it a passive thing. Maybe it's only active as long as he's on the chariot. I don't really know about that, to be completely honest. That may be one of those things where I have to go look in the FAQs. But I would say that, yeah, even if you compel the guy or whatever, or not compel, transfix. It's not like you're going to be able to take it away. So that is kind of covered in the next one, which is the Chariot and Magic. And it says models with magical powers can use them on the chariot, selecting either the chariot itself or one of the crew members as the target. Magical powers that affect multiple targets will automatically affect both the chariot and its crew if in range of the model. Only by affecting the driver will a magical power such as transfix or compel impede the chariot's movement, thereby causing it to remain stationary or take a move as described by the magical power. Finally, magical powers such as Sorcerer's Blast, Nature's Wrath, and Call of Winds will not move the chariot or knock it prone, although they still may inflict any damage as detailed in the magical powers description. All right, so that's important because you're not going to be knocked prone, so that's pretty big. Stable platform. A model riding a chariot can still fire a bow after moving its full distance. So I would assume you still take the -1 penalty, but you can shoot if you move full out. That's pretty key, and I'll explain why here in a minute. So moving it, I've talked about, oh wow, excuse me, I'm tired. It's Fridays. I talked about the Iron Hills Chariot on the LTR SBG team channel with Dan and Joe, and I highly recommend going and checking that out because it's going to help cover this a little bit easier. But moving the chariot is very difficult. It starts its turn and you can pivot up to 45 degrees. Then when you start moving, after every 3 inches of movement, full inches too, you can pivot a further 45 degrees. Now, when you move into a model, you're not charging, you move into them and they take the impact hits just like a Great Beast or Gorgoroth or a Mumok or even an Iron Hills Chariot. They will take 2 Strength 4 impact hits. Now, these impact hits can be pretty good. I've had it where I've been able to run over like an entire line of guys with Strength 4 impact hits, which is crazy because even on Strength 4s, most things you're needing 5s on. Defense 5, Defense 6 guys, you're wounding them on 5s. But it is doable and I have done it. Of course, there's also those times when you do absolutely nothing and then your chariot gets bogged down, surrounded, and killed. All right. If you fail to kill the model, then you have considered charged. So that's important. All right. Kondish Chariot cannot jump obstacles that form a physical barrier such as hedges, walls, fences, or rocks. They may attempt to cross obstacles such as streams or gullies if they wish, but if a one is rolled, the rider's automatic thrown in the chariot is destroyed. So be careful about moving through some difficult terrain and stuff of that nature. But that covers the warriors of the Variags of Khand. The Kondish Warrior, the Kondish Horseman, and the Kondish Charioteer. Moving on, let's go talk about the heroes. So let's start with the lesser of the heroes first, the Conus Chieftain. And he's fight 5, not bad, pretty good. Strength 4, Defense 5, 2 attack, 2 wound, Courage 4, 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate. So basically the Kondish Chieftain is a captain. All right, and that chieftain tends to be a common role. I mean, you see chieftains in the Serpent Horde as well. So chieftain is kind of one of those man titles that they give to evil men for the replacement of captain. So he has heroic march, which is cool. He has armor, hand, and a half axe, dagger, and a bow. So again, you can do the whole piercing strike two-handed thing with the hand and a half axe. And being strength 4, that can be a little bit better for getting some kills and some wounds, as opposed to strength 3 like the warriors. His upgrades are horse or the Kondish Chariot. And we just talked about the chariot under the charioteer. That's why I wanted to cover the warriors first. So moving along, now we have the big baddie himself. We have the Kondish King. So he is a hero of valor. The chieftain was a hero of fortitude. That's another reason why we know he's just the equivalent of a captain. And the king is considered an unnamed hero. So you can have multiple Kondish kings, and personally, that's the way I go. I think it's more beneficial to just take, if you're going to play Variags of Khand, you're going to have more than one warband. I just recommend going ahead and sacrificing a couple models to take multiple kings, and here's why. They are fight value 5 still, but they are defense 6 now, and they have 3 attacks and courage 5, and 1 more point of will. So fight 5, strength 4, defense 6, 3 attack, 2 wound, 5 courage, 2 might, 2 will, 1 fate. Pretty good. Now here's where it gets better. Heroic actions, they have resolve, march, and strike. So you maintain the march that you need, like you have from the Kondish Chieftain, But now you also have the ability to strike. So you can kind of go toe-to-toe with some of those mid-tier heroes like a Théoden, like an Éomer, who's an upper mid-tier, or a lower upper tier, however you want to kind of name it. But he can go toe-to-toe with those kind of guys. I would not really try and want to go put him against an Aragorn, or a Boromir, or a Thranduil, or a Dane. But they could go and last a few rounds if you're just trying to hold a guy up. Plus, they still have the defensive bulwark because they can also take a chariot. And I definitely recommend taking some. If you're taking kings, you probably should put them on a chariot. I have run it before where I allied them with Easterlings, who they are green allies with. And I had one king on a chariot and one king on a horse. And I actually enjoyed having that ability to have both, because when I needed to just get a king in a position to go wreck some troops, the guy on the horse was perfect because I could just run him around however the heck I wanted. When I needed to try and run some stuff over or get my one king in a position, and the king on the chariot was my hero, was my leader, I'm sorry. No, he wasn't. Because I had, yeah, he was my leader. Don't listen to me. He was more easily defended because of the defensive bulwark of the chariot, making it so that only 5s and 6s get through for shooting and strikes. So that's pretty big. So finally, he does have one special rule, and that is commanding presence. And friendly Kondish models within 6 inches of a Kondish king count as being in range of a banner. This is also why I think it's better to just take the king over the chieftain, because he can banner himself. It says friendly Kondish models. Kondish keyword, the Kondish king has the Kondish keyword, naturally. So he will essentially get, if he does his movement and charges against something and doesn't kill it with the impact hits, he is charged. So he would be getting that 4th attack. And he then gets a banner reroll if need be. So you're throwing 5 dice in a fight there. So that's pretty good. I didn't talk about the whole knockdown stuff and all that, but it is in there under the chariot charge. I'm sorry, I'll just read it. So one of the bullet points under the chariot charge is if a model that is charged and survives impact hits, the chariot will benefit from the monstrous charge special rule. So that's big because monstrous charge basically means you have the knockdown and extra attack ability. So that's also huge for getting your Kondish kings up to 4 attacks. And that's even better because monstrous charge, you get that bonus attack and knockdown ability against cavalry models. So he's kind of a good way to take out a cav guy. And if you do the impact hits are put on the rider and the mount. Yep, that sounds right. The rider and the mount. I thought I said that. I thought I said the same thing twice there. Like rider, or mount. But it does the 2 impact hits, the rider and the mount. So it's a really good way to go knock some stuff off their horses. Really good for taking heroes like a Théoden or an Éomer off their horse if need be. But that is Khand. Let's talk about their army bonus. They do have an army bonus. It is the Kondish hosts, and that is all horsemen and charioteers do not count. Do not count towards the force's bow limit, which is huge because. Hold on a second. Yeah, there we go. Because the Kondish horsemen come with the bow. Sorry, I was like, wait a minute. Why is this important? Even though this is the way I play them. Yeah, there we go. So they don't count towards the bow limit. So Kondish horsemen come with a bow, and then you can swap out the hand and a half axe for free on the charioteers. So the way I like to play this is kind of like a mini Rohan, and I haven't done very well with it because usually I don't have enough of these guys. They are a glass hammer army. I'm not going to lie. Defense 4, strength 2 bows are going to be hurting you because your mounts are only defense 4 as well. But it is a thing that could happen. Definitely something to look at. They are a glass hammer, but they do have the ability to hit pretty hard with the +1 to wound if you piercing strike, or +1 to strength, +1 to wound with piercing strike, and hand and a half weapons. And then you can get a lot of bow shots. Yeah, they're only strength 2 bow shots, but if you can get like 30-something guys and everybody's shooting bows, because again, the Kondish King and the Kondish Chieftain both come with bows, then you could do some damage. I'm not talking about like killing 17 guys or some crap in shooting, but 3 or 4 significant kills here or there, or 3 or 4 guys taking off their horses here or there can really help swing a flank. And then if you can come in on that flank and maybe get an extra 3 or 4 kills here or there with those chieftains on chariots or just a charioteer himself, that can really swing it for you. Of course, now once you lose priority and you get countercharged, and your chariots get bogged down, and your defense 4 guys on their horses get countercharged and don't have those attacks, yeah, they drop like flies. So it is a glass hammer army, but it is one that I have seen podium, and it's very cool when it does. Let's talk real quick about allies. I believe they only have 1 green ally. Yep, that is correct. They only have 1 green ally, and that is the Easterlings. So no surprise there. That's why I said I'm hoping they get some cool stuff, or at least some sort of upgrade or something as well, when this new War in the North book is released. They are convenient allies with Corsairs and Umbar. What is it, Farharad, I believe that is? Yeah, Farharad. Mordor. Barad-dûr? Is that Barad-dûr? No, that's Isengard. How are they convenient allies with Isengard? Okay, I guess it makes sense because it would be same time period. Moria. Okay, sure. And the Serpent Horde. Okay. So they've got some interesting convenient allies, but personally I think they're best if you take them green. Again, that's just the great new thing about allies is they work best when they're green. And the way I used to like to run them, I don't have my Easterlings anymore, but I take primarily Easterlings and then take a warband with a Kondish king and a full warband of, or maybe not a full, we'll say at least 10 Kondish horsemen, to give me some light cavalry and then kiting ability, mobility, just mobility in general, and some shots. And I wouldn't take any Easterlings with bows because I just think Easterlings with bows are terrible. I think most folks would agree. Strength 2 bows on like a 9-point model or whatever is ridiculous. And 4-up shoot value doesn't help either. So that is the Variags of Khand. Like I said, another one of my favorite armies, and I'm really close to getting it to where I can play at 800 points pure, which is something I'd like to be able to do and take to at least 1, maybe 2 events and see how it plays out. Maybe it does good, maybe it does bad, who knows, but at least I do want to at least try it. And I think a lot of folks enjoy Khand as well and are trying to build their own. But until next time, guys, as always, please, any army you would like covered, leave in the comment section below, and I will see you next time. Take care.